Hello, and thank you for joining the Champion Within podcast, your premier go-to spot for unlocking your winning mindset. Whether you're an athlete looking to elevate your game to the next level, a coach leading the charge, an enthusiastic parent cheering from the sidelines, or an educator molding young minds, the Champion Within podcast episodes are packed with value, sharing the tools and strategies to unlock your potential and rise to new heights. Hosted by mentor, coach, and mindset leader Kate McCauley. Let's sit back and enjoy today's episode while discovering your champion within. And now, here's Kate.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining me on the Champion Within today. I'm excited to share my guest. You got a little glimpse of Jamar Wright when I had the opportunity to speak with all of the Penn State athletes and the athletic director with at Brandywine campus. I really loved the episode, of course, because I'm a Penn Stater, but the numbers showed it. All of my listeners were tapping in and listening to this really all over the country and globally. People were sending me messages about they loved how honest the athletes were. It was one of the highest listened to episodes during season 3. I thought, let's see if we could talk to each athlete. I'm going to reach out to their athletic director as well, see if she wants to jump on too. Today we have Jamar with us. I want to tell you that when I was talking with all of the athletes, I loved each conversation individually, even though it was a group chat, but I was especially impressed with a couple of things that Jamar said. One of those things was he said that the grass isn't always greener. He thinks he was exactly where he was meant to be. He didn't want to swap lives. I really do love that answer. I think that that's something we can all learn from. There was also another part of the conversation where he was honest. All of the athletes were about having some tough moments in athletics where a coach said to the whole team that, I could be getting the words wrong, but they didn't think that the team was good enough. He took that personally and used it as motivation. I think that's a quality that is really impressive to see in anyone, especially someone who's still at the college level. I'm going to let Jamar introduce himself to you a little bit further. We're going to just have a conversation today, learn a little bit more about his journey, and I'm sure he's going to drop some more epic wisdom. How are you doing today, Jamar?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for being here. I think what I'm going to do is, let's say you were having someone else introduce you. Pretend it's not you, but if you were having someone introduce you, what would they say? Who are you if they were introducing you in a room?
I feel like someone would introduce me as just a hard worker, a genuine person, and I try to always lighten the mood in a room. Somebody might be able to say about me.
I love it. You're a senior now, right? Yeah. At Brandywine. When I went to Penn State Brandywine, we all call it Delco. It was really just the people in this area outside of the Delaware County area, maybe a little bit, but it has grown to have people from all over the place come to the campus now. So tell people, where are you from and how did you get to Penn State Brandywine?
Originally, I'm from Wilmington, Delaware. I wasn't recruited here. What happened was I knew 2 people from back home, basically, and I played on the same AAU team as them, so they were going there for basketball. I had an offer coming out of high school to go to a school in Miami, but I wanted to stay kind of closer to home, so I reached out to the coaches at Penn State Brandywine and, just talked to them a little bit about what I could bring to the team and sent them some film and stuff like that, and they liked what they saw and they reached back out to me and they allowed me to come here to the school.
Cool. You were a COVID graduate,
Yes.
right? It was 2020. Yeah, which is a little crazy for some people, I think. It was a different journey. Mm-hmm. Did you learn anything that you can already think this is something that maybe wasn't the greatest? I'm not going to say we love this, but was there anything you learned during that time that has helped you during the college experience or maybe even that you'll use in the future?
I would say COVID kind of helped with my time management. Just being at home all day and having classes still, that could lead to like forgetting certain assignments, being able to stay on top of different assignments, checking the calendar every day, seeing what I have on days we didn't have class. I feel like that helped out a lot.
That's a good point, because when you leave high school and go into that college world, my son's a freshman now, and I know some of his friends who are at different colleges all over the place, really. Their parents are saying now, because we're on the winter break right now, and their parents were all kind of talking, and we're figuring it out too as parents. What are we supposed to do and not do for our kids to make sure they have the best experience? And a lot of people are saying, you know, my son is struggling with staying on task and doing what he needs to do. I'm lucky that my son he's actually at Brandywine, and he had a great experience. But honestly, he was a freshman during COVID. I think he had to learn that too. I would have never even thought that until you just said it. I was teaching at home as a teacher, and his siblings, I actually had his cousins were here because my sister-in-laws were nurses. So we had so many different things going on, and he really had to manage his time himself. Because when you're in the high school building, the bell rings, you go to the next place, you know, you have to do it yourself. I guess you could walk out the door, really. Some students do that, but you really have a structure there. But when you're home with the COVID thing, I mean, you could just, you know, not do it. You have to really do it yourself. I like that you learned that. When you were deciding, I heard you say Miami, but I heard you say you want to be closer to home and that type of thing. How did you finally make that decision to say Penn State Brandywine is a better fit for me? Was there something that just you felt it, or was it just the location?
I want to say it was something that I kind of felt, because with the way I play on the court, I'm kind of like an energy defender type of player. I wanted to go somewhere that I would be able to get right on the court and help contribute to the team. I feel like the other school in Miami, because it was a D2, I felt like it would take me a little while to get on the court and start playing. I just want to be able to go somewhere and I would be able to start playing right away, basically.
I love that. Okay. I was going to ask you, do you have a tip for a senior in high school now, or even their parents? Because that recruiting process can be overwhelming for people. Would that be a tip you would give someone? Think about what type of player you are and, you know, how you see yourself on that team.
Yeah, I would definitely use that as a tip, because if you like certain schools, you got to keep in mind they already have their star players. Brandywine, we had our star players, the people you want to give the ball to and stuff like that, but you want to be able to put yourself in a role to where you'll be able to help the team succeed, even if you're not the main one scoring, because I feel like wherever you come from, most of the time, the high school you're coming from, you're kind of that star player, you're getting the ball, stuff like that. So you're just going to have to be able to adapt coming into college, knowing that basically everybody that just came in, they were basically that star player in high school, just like you were. It's kind of being able to adapt, I guess you could say, putting yourself into a better situation.
Yeah, that can be humbling for many people, athletes, and just people in general. If you're a big man on campus, so to speak, or a star athlete, or even if you're the best student or whatever it is for you, you're now in a place where all of those people are the athlete, you know, and you have to think you're not the one. It's a mindset shift, really, that you have to think you're here for the team and what is my role, which some people can't do that. And that, you know, leads to issues with themselves, with the team as a whole. I think that's important for people to just, you know, step back and think about those things. You lived on campus when you came to Brandywine, or did you commute?
I always commuted, yes.
Oh, you commuted. Okay. So how long is that for you to get there?
My first 2 years, it was 30 minutes, but then we ended up moving a little bit farther away. So now I commute about an hour and some change every day.
Okay. How's that working out for you as if you were a college kid thinking about that choice?
I feel like it works out for me personally, just because staying on campus, it could be a lot of money sometimes. And if you want to get kind of, I guess, the real college experience, I would say try and stay on campus. But for me personally, I really only go to class, play basketball, and then just come back home basically and do some homework.
You couldn't live there when I was there. I'm older, a lot older, but commuting, and I was playing basketball, honestly, because just like you were saying, I was there doing my classes, then basketball, I had work to do. I think I was probably not during the season, but off season, maybe working too. I think that I was still feeling like I was a part of the campus and I got to know so many people, even though I didn't live there. Do you find that to be the case because you're a part of the basketball team?
Yes, I definitely do. And also with me being part of the basketball team, they ask certain athletes, they pick 2 athletes from, I think, every sports team to represent the SAC committee. For me, I was able to get into that this year. I feel like also if you're an athlete, or even if you're not an athlete, if you're able to get involved in any programs around campus, even if you're not staying on campus, you'll be able to meet and interact with a lot more people.
So tell me, what is that? What is the committee that you're involved in?
So basically what we do there is we have our president, and she goes around and she meets with different Penn State presidents and stuff like that. She was able to help us get into this D3 that we're in right now. We all meet in a room and we just talk about different events that we can do to help fundraise for different sports programs and stuff like that.
I love it. So it's athletes from different sports? Is it all athletes?
Yes, it's all athletes.
It's great networking and just, getting involved and learning those skills that you definitely will use beyond your college experience as well.
Right.
That's really cool. I love hearing that. When you are now here at Penn State Brandywine, you're getting close to the end of your career. Did you play all 4 years there?
Yes.
So this is your last season. How are you feeling about that as you're coming to the end here?
I would say it's mixed emotions. I would say I'm happy, but also sad at the same time. Really happy just because I was able to complete my whole college career with one school, one program, and also sad at the same time because, having to leave behind all the achievements and all the ups and downs. It's sad just being an athlete that having to leave the program behind.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your major and what do you plan on doing after you graduate?
So my major is communications, and I want to be able to get into some type of sports media, whether it's broadcasting or if it's handling sports team social media pages, or even if I am able to take like photography for sports teams' social media pages.
Awesome. That's really cool. Do you do a little bit of that yet?
I have done. I did get on a broadcast for the girls' basketball game before. I was on there for one half. Yes.
Cool. It's just, getting out there and doing it, right? And honestly, you've been on this podcast and you were on the other one. I will say that I know when I put a clip of you just talking, not that I'm like a huge Instagrammer or anything, but that was like shared so many times. People were liking it. I think it had a lot of views. So just being able to start doing things will get you to that place. What skills would you say as an athlete is going to help you do that?
I would say skills as an athlete would just be having drive. I feel like as an athlete, you have to be able to keep going, basically. So I feel like going into a career, if it gets a little difficult at the beginning, if you just keep going, then you'll be able to understand more and you'll get more experience in it, just like it is with sports.
Have you ever had a moment where you had to keep going? Maybe you didn't feel like it, but you knew you had to. Have you ever experienced that either in sports or in life?
Yes, so I have experienced that in sports. I don't remember if it was last season or the season before. It was kind of getting to be a lot with classes and going to practice and getting off practice late or a game late and then having to go home and do more homework and wake up early the next day. But I just had to tell myself, you have to keep going because this is what you want to do. And this is what's going to allow you to be successful in the future.
Exactly. Putting in that time and having to like grind and you got to get up and do it. I think a lot of times in the beginning, especially when you're leaving college, figuring out where you're going to land, you're like low man, low woman, whoever it is, and you have to put in the time because they're like, you got to earn this a little bit. That means getting up early, being willing to maybe do some of the things that some of the other people, and maybe they've just been in the industry longer, in the company, whatever. They're like, yeah, we've been there, done that. But I think that those skills, and sometimes athletes, myself included, sell ourselves short and don't, realize all of the things that you had to do as a student athlete to do all of the schoolwork required and get to practice games, the late nights, early mornings, the workouts, and even just the things you're doing on your own time in addition to the scheduled practices and that kind of stuff. So I think that you'll probably see over time even more and more things that come up there. I heard you say the different achievements and things that you'll be leaving behind. And from before, I do a little stalking when I have people on my show. I saw that when you were in high school, you got, I think it was in 2019, a coach's award. What was the coach's award that you won? What was that about?
So that year was when I had got my surgery on my leg and I missed the entire season. So that award was given to me because even though I was injured, I still went to every practice. I went to every game, and I was just a vocal leader off the court, even though I wasn't playing. So I just felt like me doing that is just because I love basketball. I wanted to be there whenever I had the chance to, basically.
I'm so glad I asked that question because I knew there was probably something behind that. I remember you talking about the surgery, but I didn't have the timeline in my brain. Tell my listeners right now, because you and I know, and I think most people know, okay, vocal leader, what does that look like? If I have an athlete or a coach or a parent of a coach, and, I'm working with a team right now, and I'm picturing actually 2 swimmers who are injured that I'm working with their team, and it sucks. You're injured. Of course, you're not like, yay, I'm injured. But what does it look like to be a vocal athlete? And your show, obviously, you just told us you show up and, you're there. You don't miss anything. But what does that look like? What does it sound like if somebody wants to embody that? If they are that person or the coach has to say, hey, why don't you try this?
I would say that looks like just cheering on your teammates whenever you get the chance to. Also talking to them because sometimes I feel like certain players, they don't like to hear certain things coming from the coach. So just being able to hear a different voice from a different leader on the team, somebody that's around the same age as you, also playing on the team, and you're just leading them in the right direction, correcting them and encouraging them, then I feel like that's what makes a vocal leader.
I love that. So true, by the way. I mean, research shows that. Jamar is correct, but research actually shows that peers, especially in that high school, college age, middle school too, that we appreciate our parents, but the research shows there that your kids, your athletes, they actually will listen to the coach more than they listen to a parent, but they will listen to their teammates and their peers, their classmates more than they would listen to the coach, definitely more than the parent. And as you get older, you start to appreciate your parents a little bit more again. That just happens. It's brain development, but so true. So if you were that injured athlete, just giving those words of encouragement or a tough love push, like, get in there. You got this, work harder, whatever it is that athlete needs. And let's be honest, as athletes, we say stuff to each other that we won't say to the coach because it's, not respectful and you want to be appropriate coach-athlete relationship. So we might be saying stuff in the locker room, on the bus or wherever, just walking down the hallway if it's high school, that the coach doesn't even know. So you might know things about your teammates that they're going through or just that they, say or do. And you can say something different, a different voice, and that it lands differently. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's great that they acknowledge that in you and gave you that award. Congratulations many years later. You. I love that the coaches, I assume it was the coaches that selected you. All right, cool. Speaking of awards, that's not the only accomplishment. I'm sure you have plenty of them. But when I did my stalking, I saw last year you were also the all academic team, which is a 3.0, and you have to have at least 24 credits. And that's for Penn State athletes in general. And first off, I love it. I always tell people student athlete, you're a student first. And this is incredibly important because when you get those skills as an athlete, I know myself as a business owner, I would love to hire people who are somehow involved in sports because 1, it aligns with me. And 2, I just think you have some skills that maybe some other people don't. You don't have to be an elite athlete, but it's just me personally. I think there's some skills that come with that. But when you can also say you have that academic side as well, that you're not just, there to play, it says even more. Tell me about, your academic journey a little bit.
For me, when I first came into college my freshman year, I was told that yes, in a way it's harder than high school, but at the same time, it could be easier. Only because as long as you turn your work in on time, that allows you to have a better chance at passing each class. So whether it's homework or, just like a quiz that you might have to turn in online or something. As long as you get those things in on time and try your best on them, you're most likely going to pass the class.
Okay. Who told you that?
Who did tell me that? I think it might have been my mom and my sister.
Okay. Yeah, it's a great tip. You kind of went in thinking, I just got to make sure that I turn this stuff in, get it in on time, get things done.
Right.
Kind of goes along with the time management too. Make sure I'm getting it done on time.
Right.
We talk about this a lot on the podcast. I know in the last episode as a group, we talked about it's not all wonderful. There's issues, setbacks. Did you experience that as an athlete during your college years? And I know you had the injury in high school. And if you did, what did you do to make sure that you could get back on track?
Regarding to injuries, try and get back on the court, whether it's doing physical therapy or resting or just doing whatever it takes to be able to get back out there with your teammates and be able to help them win games, basically.
Do you have anybody that you have really been inspired by or have helped you? And how did they do that for you?
I would say academically would be my mom for sure. Just growing up in general, whether it's elementary school, middle school, high school, and even college, she always tells me just make sure that you don't fail a class. She's always on top of me about turning in work and when stuff is due. And if she's asking me if I have any tests coming up, like even till now, she still asks me, just staying on top of me about my academics first and foremost before athletics.
I love it. I just saw somebody share something, probably on Instagram, because I share things on there, that your mom, and not necessarily your mom, but moms in general, it said something like, your mom is the only person who wants the best for you, but never really wants anything in return. She has nothing to gain. She just wants you to have it all and be the greatest person ever. And I thought to myself, how true is that? And I was thinking of my own mom. I think of myself because I do that with my 3 kids. Like, what's due? Is this due? Even my college student, I say, did you schedule your classes? Do you have finals? What's going on? How are things? Do you need help? I try to pull back and let my kids do things on their own and learn and fail, make mistakes, but always know that I'm here so they can either vent, have advice. But I also say, what do you need help with? Because I think that some people think, I have to do everything by myself, and that is completely untrue. As we go through life, there are always people willing to help and have a few steps ahead that have experienced things before us. I thought that was really cool that somebody made the quote up or made a little reel, I guess, saying moms are really the only people. They're not trying to get anything from you. They're not trying to say like, well, I did this for you, so now, how are you going to help me out with my business or my this? I love that you acknowledge that. I think that's amazing that your mom's there for you. So shout out to your mom. She sounds amazing. I'm sure there's a lot of people in your life that do that too, but pretty cool that you recognized her. Athletically, we talked in the first podcast and you listed a whole bunch of different sports that you played. And I loved that because I think it's important to try a lot of different things if you want to. I'm not saying you have to push your kids. People who are listening right now, you don't have to sign them up for everything. If they want to, let them see, try. I do think your kids should be moving. Don't let them sit on the couch and do nothing. Like my youngest, for example, he's not really into it, but we signed him up and we quickly realized basketball, for example, he was, I guess, 5. And at that level, basically the parents are the coaches and the refs. And I was coaching the team and I showed up and they said, oh, we don't have any refs. So you have to coach and ref. So we got like 5 kids in, 5 kids out. He's my youngest of 3. So I kind of knew how this youth league worked. I kid you not. The first time I rotated in, he's like, I don't want to go in. I'm like, Ryan, come on, bud. It's your turn. Just go in. This is literally probably the second game, first season for him. And he went in, like just kind of went through it. The second time he went in, he had a mouthful of water. And I didn't realize it because I'm reffing the game. I whistle, he goes to the foul line and like stood up like a fountain, put his hands out almost like a pose, like a fountain. And he spit the water out and put his leg back like he was posing like a statue. Everyone in the gym thought it was hysterical, except for me, and my husband who was watching from the bleachers. I had to take my hoodie off and clean the floor because I'm the ref in the middle of the game here. he just was not into it. The third rotation, I said, come on, Rye. Like, I'm checking his mouth. I'm like, you didn't take a sip of water. I'm like trying to just be like, all right, we go to say like, you and these 4 kids, you're in, Ryan. He holds up his shoelaces. He took them out of his shoes and was like, I go, you know what, Ryan, you win, buddy. You're out. You got it, dude. You can be in charge of the water bottles now. He was like happy as can be, just wanted to like have a snack afterwards. And he did finish that season. I do make sure we have to finish the season. You committed, well, I signed him up, but we're going to finish. You don't have to be an all-star basketball player. But he clearly wasn't into it. Anyway, I know you said you were involved in a lot of different sports. And I actually remember you saying that you were in gymnastics, which stood out to me. I said, oh, okay, I hear all these different sports. When do you think basketball became the sport where you just felt, I really love playing basketball. I feel like I'm in the flow. Do you remember that happening? And were there other sports that you loved at the same level, or was basketball just like it for you?
I would say my 6th grade year in middle school was when I realized I really like basketball and this is what I want to do. Because all through elementary school is when I did all the other sports, and I would say
list all of them again in case people didn't hear it last time.
Okay, so I was playing basketball, baseball, football. I did soccer, and I also did gymnastics. And then once I got to middle school, I realized that basketball is what I wanted to do. And with that, I ended up running track as well, just to help with the conditioning for basketball. And I would say that's because for football, I feel like, honestly, football was probably my best sport, but it's not what I enjoyed the most, though. So I went with the route that I really enjoyed.
So how did you know? Because that happens, people would be like, you're good at this, like a coach, a parent, and kids, even as they get older, be like, okay, I guess I am, but how did you know? Like, I just love this. Were you just in the flow? Like, what happened?
Yeah, I feel like I was just kind of in the flow just because, like, I enjoyed every part of basketball. I enjoyed going to practice. I enjoyed even staying after to get up extra shots, going early, just all of that type of stuff. And with the other sports, I wasn't really too excited to go to those practices. I would just rather go straight to a game, but that's not what you're able to do. You have to go to practice. I was kind of like basketball. I can enjoy practice and a game at the same time.
Gotcha. Yeah. Like, it's just what you do. I'm curious, when you're at your house, maybe when you were younger or older, do you walk around with a basketball? Are you like tossing it up? Are you always dribbling? Or
when I was younger, I had a basketball in my hand a lot. And also just like walking through the house, like the overheads that are in the house, I would always jump up and hit the top of those and just stuff like that.
Well, I'm going to apologize to your mom now. I feel her pain. I have a son who does that too. My daughter used to do it a little, and then she kind of seemed like, I don't love this as much. They used to have basketball, the little hoops upstairs, and they would play back and forth their bedrooms. And I'm like, why did I even buy this? I mean, I love basketball too, so I wasn't really that mad about it, but I can visualize you doing that, just like walking through and like dribbling or tossing. My nephew just got this ball that's supposed to be a silent ball that you can like dribble in the house or something. I'm like, I could have used that 10 years ago. And it was just, but I was just curious about that. Is there anyone athletically that has inspired you, either a coach or maybe it's a professional player or a teammate or someone that you just know who's not even a coach, but has inspired your athletic journey? Maybe it wasn't even a basketball person, but is there anybody like that for you?
I would say my sister. I keep going back to her, but she showed me if you're dedicated to your sport, you can do what you wanted to do, because she was a gymnast and she took a lot of time going to practice every day, early in the morning, hours away, basically. She was able to get scholarships for gymnastics. She was a D1 gymnast. So me seeing that at a young age allowed me to really put in my mind, if you work hard at what you love to do, you will be able to succeed in it.
What an amazing role model. And it's okay. You keep going back to her. You're like, I keep going
Yeah.
back to her. That's cool. By the way, she needs to come on the podcast. I didn't know your sister was a gymnast. Where did she go to school?
She was originally at West Virginia, and then she transferred to University of Maryland.
Okay, cool. If she's interested, tell her. I'm always looking for cool people to talk to. I'm sure she's got some cool stories to share. So you saw her. She's a little bit older than you, or how old is? Okay. So you saw her going to practices. Did you go to some of those gymnastic meets and things like that?
I went to a lot of the meets, actually. So just being able to see how good she was, because I didn't see any of her practices, but just knowing that she was always there and then seeing the outcome of that allowed me to see it in a better vision.
What is the age difference between you and your sister?
I think it's 4 years.
Okay. I asked that because my oldest and my youngest, there's a 5-year age difference. And then my middle two, they're 2 years apart. The younger siblings, especially my daughter and my son, so the middle and my oldest, she definitely learned a lot from him. She went to all of his basketball tournaments, and she would bring her baby stroller. He was maybe in first grade and she's 4. So she was bringing her babies and the stroller and all the gear that goes with all her stuff, because we would be there all day. If you win and then you play the next game, it was like tournament play. And my youngest was there too. He was definitely there for the snacks. And that's why when we were playing basketball, he was like, are we getting a snack after this? Like, because we would often go to Wawa or somewhere after or between games sometimes when we were with my oldest. My daughter definitely learned, and she didn't end up being a basketball player. She runs track. But I think her dedication and things like that and willingness to just work hard, I don't know if she'll admit it right now, but because she's still, at that age where she's like, whatever to her brother. I think she probably does deep down know. When she gets a little older, she will probably say that, but I see it because she'll mention, I remember when we would go to tournaments and I'm cool with it. We have to be there all day because winter track, they travel and they are there all day at Lehigh University and things like that. It's a long day. And she's done that since she was 4. She has seen her brother do that. So I was curious as a younger sibling, if you kind of went along to the meets and saw those things and saw her dedication there. So it sounds like you did. You probably got some snacks too when you were hanging out on the side there, sidelines. That's cool. Awesome. When you were moving through all of these things athletically and, you had some coaches, we did talk about that one coach who, wasn't the greatest. Have you had a moment with a coach at any level where you thought, this is exactly what I needed to hear? So the flip side, somebody said something that like lit that fire, like, what, I'm actually working really hard. Anything on the flip side where a coach has noticed something in you and like that has also motivated you in a good way?
I would say not so much my first year in college, but more so my second year, because the first year we didn't really have that season due to COVID. But the second year when we were actually playing games, really just that whole coaching staff in general, they saw how good of a defender I was. So them telling me that and telling me basically that the team needs me to stop the best player, basically, that really fueled the fire under me to get stops on defense and really work hard while I was on the court.
As an individual athlete, they were telling you those things. Yeah, I asked that question just because I was curious. Coaches listen, and I get to work with coaches and say, this is what athletes say they need. I was curious to see what you said there. When a student is looking at a college, what should they look for? Because when you go to a college, every coach, everyone's going to, of course, say how wonderful their school is and why they want you to come there. If you were whispering in the ear of an athlete of any sport, what should that athlete want to hear that's genuine from a coach or maybe one of the current players that they would know, like, this is a person that I want to play for?
I know some coaches may tell players that, if you come here, you'll get such and such amount of playing time and stuff like that. And then it turns out they really might not play that much. So I feel like just a coach being transparent with you, just letting you know, like, hey, if you come here, you'll have to earn your minutes. You may not play right away, but as long as you work hard, then we'll be able to work you into the rotation. I feel like stuff like that will help a lot, just because you don't want to go into somewhere thinking one thing and then it turns out to be something else.
Someone who you feel this person's being honest with me. Yeah, because sometimes you're right. I think it feels a little too good to be true, and probably is. So if somebody's being honest with you, I guess there could be a chance they're like, "Oh, you're the one." But if somebody's being honest, yeah, you got to work. You got to put the work in. Most places they're going to expect that. I like that advice. I think that's really good advice there. What would you say to that college student once they get there? All of the athletes are good now.
Mhm.
What should they do related to mindset to get through that?
I would say find something that allows you to really maintain focus. Basically, for me, it's music. So I put some music on and it allows me to really lock in before a game. But also at the same time, use, like, if you're first coming in and everybody is good, I would use that as kind of encouragement to get better, see what the other people are doing, and you're playing against them in practice. So that alone is going to make you better. Just finding ways that you can basically surpass your teammates. And with you doing that, that's going to make them want to work harder as well. And then the whole team will be able to become better at once.
I love it. So what music do you listen to? Do you want to tell us?
I listen to a lot of, it's more like rap and some R&B, just stuff like that before a game. And even sometimes I'll throw a little bit of jazz on before a game.
Do you have one go-to song or is it just playlist random? Random playlist. Okay. I had a student of mine actually is the performance coach for the Celtics, and he was on and he was telling us that they kind of do that with the Celtics. They have like certain songs, certain players have, their own songs that they have to listen to. I was curious if you had a song that this is your song. Does your team have music that they put in the beginning? Or
most of us, we just do our own music. If it's a home game though, then I have everybody just send me what songs they want and I'll create a playlist and send it to whoever's working the table that game, and they'll play it at a home game. But away games, everybody just listens to their own music.
Yeah, just whatever you got in your ears. I am a huge fan of that. I feel the music can change everything for you. I do that before everything I do. Sports, if I'm working out, definitely. If I forget my earphones, I'm literally pissed and I'm debating, do I drive back and get them? And then if they got music on in the gym, that's terrible. It'll kill it for me. And then before I do anything, if I'm going to a speaking engagement, I have to listen to certain music before. And it puts you in a different space. I almost can zone out and get in that flow we were talking about. It changes for me. It's not always the same exact song. It's funny. I'm 46 years old, but I literally will listen to like old school rap when I'm at the gym, and I'll laugh to myself. I'm like, I'm taking vitamins and stuff like that, but I'm listening to this hardcore music that I listened to when I was at Penn State, and people have no idea what's in my ears, but I'm like in it at the gym. I do have a better workout, and it's different. I love music. I'm in awe of musicians. Always impressed by that. The last question I have that I ask everyone is really one that you can go in any direction with. If you had a chance to either go back or forward to any moment or day in your life, where do you think you would go and what would you do that day?
I would say I would probably go back in time to around when I'm like 10, because I think that's around like 5th grade or so.
Yeah, I think so.
So for what I would do for the day is just kind of just soak everything in, just because the reason I'm going back to that age is because that's kind of a point in time where there's not too much to worry about. You're just, you're just going to your school. And then if you have any after school activities, you go to that, do some homework, and then your day is done basically. So at that age, it's really like, it's no stress there. And like now at this age I'm at now, it's kind of like you're getting into adulthood, which could be taken for granted. It's a lot harder than some may think it is. Being able to go back for a day and just be a kid again. That's what.
Yeah. Well, what would be the best thing that day that you would do?
Just relaxing, basically. There was a lot of downtime. Yeah.
Yeah, there really was. And it was kind of just like, no care in the world. I think that is the perfect age. You're not in that middle school age yet where people are starting to worry about things. There's not really stress. You're kind of just living your life. Somebody probably made you dinner. You're just like, all right, what are we going to do next? And you're just kind of going along with it. I think that's a great age to be at. So before I get off of here with you, tell me, what is a recent win for you in life and in sports that, we should hear about with you? Don't sell yourself short here. Something awesome that you've done or that you're proud of.
I would say something that I'm proud of is just being able to graduate, honestly. But I just applied for graduation a couple of days ago. So
congratulations.
Thank you. So I just feel like being able to do that and knowing that I really worked hard to get to this point, I feel like that's huge for me.
Good. Yeah. Let yourself feel that and celebrate that, because that is huge. That's huge to, get there and just like let yourself sit in that for a little bit. And, if any of those like limiting beliefs or fears, because like you just said, like adulthood's coming and like even myself this morning, I'm like, oh man, I got to do this, that, and the other thing, it comes up, but you got this. You know what to do. You got all those skills, like from being an athlete, going through everything. And I loved when you said on the first podcast, I don't ask the question anymore about the life swap just because I'm like, all right, new season, let me come up with something different. But, you were exactly where you were meant to be every single step of the way. And like when you said, like, I don't want to switch lives, I was like, I'm here for it. I love that, because really what is meant for us is coming our way, even if we can't like see it yet. Sometimes you got to have like those like moments where you're like, what is happening? The injury, the surgeries, all those things kind of put you where you're supposed to be. And you learn so many lessons and keep leaning on those people, your mom, your sister, and all the other people that are there to support you and yourself, because you did that, right? So congratulations on that win. And thank you for sharing all of this with my listeners. I loved learning a little bit more about you. You still have some games to play, of course, at the end of the season here. So I'm going to remind everyone, I will drop it in our show notes, the link for the Penn State live, they can watch you. And then if they can get out to a game, if they're locally, you definitely should go do that at the end of their seasons here. So thank you. Do you want to share anything else where people should follow you?
Everybody could follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is _Jamar Wright.
Okay. I'm just going to put it out there as a mindset coach and a Penn Stater that as you're graduating, I don't know like exactly where you're putting yourself out there in the world. And of course, let me know if I can connect you with people. But if there's anyone who's listening right now thinking, wait, maybe I need him to do some of this stuff for like content and the things that you mentioned when we were just talking, reach out to him. Use the show notes, Instagram, whatever. That's how connections happen a lot. I'm already thinking of some people that might need sports photography or different things. If you're thinking that, or someone else who is, I can tell you right now that you want a Penn Stater working for you, because we're next level. I'm just going to say it. We are next level when we are from Penn State. It is what it is. I'll probably get some messages like, you Penn Staters, but whatever. So anyway, thank you, Jamar. And I wish you the best of everything. And I have no doubt that you will be successful.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to us today. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your week. We are rooting for you always.
Thank you for hanging out with Kate today. And whether you're going to coach, teach, cheer from the sidelines, or hitting the field yourself, remember, mindset is everything. Don't forget to follow the show for the latest episodes, as we all need a little extra motivation, humor, and sanity in our busy lives. Now, go and unleash your champion within you, one step at a time. We're always rooting for you.